What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. And today, I think it's time we finally have a discussion about what's kind of just been the elephant in the room for the Oilers over the past month or so, and that is Kailer Yamamoto. Now, Kailer Yamamoto is one of 19 currently remaining RFAs in the NHL, and people assumed that Yamamoto would be signed a little bit sooner than this. Everyone thought that they would get the contract probably in the earlier part of the summer, and then there would be no debate here. However, we're currently sitting here on September 7th, and there's no contract in place for Kailer Yamamoto. So, what I want to go over is my opinions on Yamamoto. We'll talk about his past season. We'll talk about the type of player he is for me. We'll talk about some of the things that are kind of sticking in the way as for his contract demands and what could be an issue at some point, how the organization might be feeling. And then I'm going to just give a prediction on what's going to happen. And yeah, so let's hop into it. So, Kailer Yamamoto, was a really interesting player last year. Last year for the Oilers, he was following up, he was coming in to follow up a season the year before in which he broke out in to the NHL. I mean, you go and take a look at the numbers here, and because I'm not that good of a YouTuber, I don't have them pulled up, so let's pull them up very quickly. In the 2019-20 season, he was called up, I think, at New Year's, played 27 games for the team, scored 11 goals, 15 assists for 26 points. That's nearly a point per game pace. In the playoffs, he had 0 points and he was a -1, but we don't talk about that. Nobody talks about that because that was painful. Then this past year, expectations were high. Yamamoto's going to come in here and he's going to play alongside Draisaitl again, and we're going to see what happens. And he had a bit of a setback year, at least compared to his pace before. Now, what I will say about this in defense of Yamamoto is I do not think that his point per game pace that he had in the 2019-20 season was sustainable. However, I still think it is a bit of a disappointment that he was only able to manage 8 goals and 21 points in 52 games, not to mention only 1 point in 4 playoff games, again, this time being a -2. So yeah, numerically a little bit disappointing, but the thing I like about Kailer Yamamoto is not his actual production, it's what he brings to the game away from all the point scoring. And well, what you're getting in Kailer Yamamoto is a bit of a nosy player that likes to go into corners. He'll go and win puck battles. A bit of a pest to play against at times. He does have a bit of offensive touch to his game, obviously, and he also is not the worst defensively. I think the best way to put it is this. When Kailer Yamamoto is on, when Kailer Yamamoto is playing his best, you know who he is, you know exactly where he is, and you don't like playing against him. That is what I feel Kailer Yamamoto is for the Edmonton Oilers. Think about him like he is a smaller and not as physically imposing Zach Hyman in many ways. A little bit more of a slicker, and obviously not as skilled. I think Hyman's a lot better than him, but a not as skilled, not as strong version of Zach Hyman in a way, if we're going to talk about an on-team comparison for him. Now, going into the summer, I was very adamant about what I thought the contract for Kailer Yamamoto would look like. It's going to be a 2-year deal or a 1-year deal, probably 2 years though, at 2.75. It's going to be a bridge contract, help the team get through it, help the player get through it, and then in 2 years' time, we'll have another discussion about how this is going to work. However, that has changed a bit over the past while. There's been a bit of a different discussion going on for several different reasons. The first one being the Joel Farabee contract that he just signed. If you don't know, if you weren't keeping track with it, earlier in the summer, Joel Farabee of the Philadelphia Flyers signed a 6-year deal at $5 million per year. That's a lot of money, you may say. Here's the thing, though. When you look at him and Kailer Yamamoto in a side-by-side comparison, it is eerie to see how similar they are. When you look at player similarity charts, like, you know, when they look at a player type and see, okay, who's most comparable, the number one for both of these players are the other person. As a matter of fact, their point production in almost identical amount of games is startlingly close. And yeah, there is a lot of concerns amongst Oiler faithful that now that we see this contract, Kailer Yamamoto is going to want a lot more right now just because of this contract being signed. Now, I don't know what to think of that. I'm going to let people take away what they want to from that, but I do find it interesting that this comparison is so strongly made. I find it eerie that it is so similar. And honestly, if you told me Kailer Yamamoto was worth 5, honestly, in a few ways, I would agree with you, but at the same time, I do not know why for me, but I just feel like for some reason Kailer Yamamoto is not looking for the money in that ballpark, but I do understand the argument for why he may be when you look at the comparisons for it. I think another thing that's been brought up at times is a possible offer sheet. After the Jesperi Kotkaniemi offer sheet, and by the way, I'm sorry, I'm just checking my phone right now, because um, yeah, currently. I'm sorry to interrupt with this, but currently, my schooling is in is in shambles, and I don't know what to think. Anyways, so sorry about that. Back to the video. Offer sheet. After the Kotkaniemi offer sheet, people are talking about, oh, our offer sheet's more opened up. I personally disagree with that. I don't think that we're going to see any more offer sheets. However, I think we do need to keep it in the back of our minds with Kailer Yamamoto, looking at how the Hurricanes just kind of screwed over the Montreal Canadiens with that offer sheet. I imagine there would be a few teams that would like to do that to the Edmonton Oilers. I hear the Calgary Flames screaming in the background right now because I feel like if any team would do it, it would be them. And I bet you, and honestly, if they were to do it, it would be like the Kotkaniemi situation. It would be like a one-year deal with big money to the point where the Oilers couldn't accept it, and then they go for a cheaper extension later on. Do I think it's going to happen? No, but it is something to keep in mind. And the final thing, that personally is not being brought up by other people, but I think is a question to be asked personally for myself when looking at the depth chart, is does Kailer Yamamoto have any effects on him after the Oilers acquired Warren Foegele on free agency day? Obviously, the Oilers acquired Warren Foegele. I think they do like Foegele. They gave up Ethan Bear for him, and the perception is that Ethan Bear was going to be pretty good. So you end up getting Warren Foegele. They obviously like him, and I personally think that if needed, Warren Foegele could hop into that top 6. So has the perception around how necessary Yamamoto is changed within the organization, with Warren Foegele being brought in. Personally, for me, I would like to have both Yamamoto and Foegele, but honestly, maybe the organization's standpoint has changed on him. So, after going over all that, and with me kind of on the clock because I need to kind of hurry things up here. What do I think the resolution to the Kailer Yamamoto situation will be? Well, I can't deny that some of the points brought up by people who do not think it's just going to be a cakewalk to sign him, and I don't think it's been. If it was a cakewalk to sign him, it would have already happened, obviously. But those people that do not think he'll sign, those points are pretty intriguing. Maybe that he'll want a contract that big, or someone may offer sheet him, or maybe even from my standpoint, the Warren Foegele thing, maybe that has an effect. However, I think a lot of that talk is kind of smoke and mirrors. I think that the Oilers do end up re-signing Yamamoto. Honestly, I don't know how much. I don't really think I'd change my original prediction. I do think we're talking about that 2-year deal still, where he'll take that 2.75, and then, like I said, a couple years down the line, maybe we're having a different discussion. We'll really have to see. It's really tough, though, because there is a lot of compelling evidence here, but I think the main reason I've made this video is just kind of for Oilers fans. We do tend to react to things pretty quickly. and sometimes overreact. And I guess what I'm trying to say here is to anybody who's worried about Kailer Yamamoto, don't be worried about Kailer Yamamoto. Um, when it comes to Kailer, I think he's kind of getting the Ethan Bear treatment. If you don't remember, Ethan Bear did not sign a contract with the Oilers until right before, or right, like, pretty close to training camp. So the Oilers do have a tendency as an organization to do that. If you're worried, be patient, be calm. I think everything's going to work out fine with Yamamoto. What do you think about Kailer Yamamoto? Do you think the Oilers should re-sign him? Do you think that they should trade him? What do you think that they should do? Do you think he's going to get office sheeted? Let me know down below. Thank you all for watching this video. I will see you all on the next one. Goodbye for now.